Show me welcome Chris Porter.
Not too far down the road from here is a real live working farm, McCleary's farm. Now, for any of you who grew up in this area, you probably visited when you were in elementary school on one of your field trips. To this day, as it has for the last 50 years, hundreds, if not thousands, of elementary school students regularly go to McCleary's farm. Now, it's known for agriculture, but McCleary's farm also has a number of animals in this farm. The usual: cows, pigs, horses, chickens. But the most unusual, especially for this farm, and the most beautiful, is a peacock. Yes, McCleary's farm is one of the most brilliantly colored peacocks you've ever seen in your life, and its tail feathers seem to stretch for almost 3 feet when fully fanned out. The greens and the blues that dot the ends of these feathers just glisten in the afternoon sun. The peacocks are the male of the peafowl, and the females, which are also known as peahens, numbered 5 on this farm. The peacock, of course, had mated with all 5 of these peahens. Now, peafowl are not the most brilliant birds in the barnyard. They are routinely the laughing stock among the other livestock on the farm for their stupidity. And chief among them, their dumbest among them, is the peacock himself. See, he's used to getting by on his good looks. And so whenever the children arrive and they're handed that handful of feed that they're to give to the animals, their attention immediately goes towards the peacock because of his brilliant beauty. And as a result, the peacock has never had to go without a meal. He's never even had to learn to scrounge around for a meal for himself. Whereas the peahens, the females, who are less decorated and thus have less attention lavished upon them, are often forced to find their own meals. Now, of course, the peacock, he basks in the glory of all this attention, and he proudly struts himself around the barnyard. Each day, he parades his perfectly pruned plumage around the barnyard and allows all the animals to sort of bask in the glory that is this peacock. And every day, he walks over to the lake and he spends hours just admiring his own reflection there in the glassy water. And one day, as he's glancing at his reflection in the water, he notices this pier, this wooden pier on the other side of the lake that extends out maybe into the middle of the lake. He thinks to himself, wow, what an opportunity for me to go out there and strut my stuff. It's almost like it's a runway for me to be admired by all the other animals in the barnyard. So he scurries along the shores of this lake and walks out to this wooden pier. He ignores the barricade that the farmer had put across the entrance to this pier to prevent this very thing, and he steps out on the wooden pier and starts to strut his way down the pier. And all the animals, sure enough, do turn their heads to watch him as he's walking out there. He gets to the end of the pier, and of course he can't help but glance in the water below to admire his own reflection. As he leans forward to look into the water, he loses his footing, and when the gust of wind comes and sort of hits the back of his spread out tail feathers, he actually falls feet first right into the water below. Now, peacocks don't have the webbed feet that the ducks have, and so they're not very good swimmers at all. So there's this peacock just flailing about in the water, trying to find some way to get to shore. And of course, all the animals who are back in the barnyard are laughing hysterically at him as he's floundering around in the water. The farmer, of course, hears this and all this commotion and rushes out to the pier to see what this commotion can be about. He races to the end of the pier upon seeing his prized peacock on the verge of drowning in the water. Now, the farmer doesn't have a net, and he doesn't want to get scratched up by the wildly flailing legs of this non-webbed foot peacock, and he doesn't want to get pecked by the beak of this bird either. And so he reaches out and he grabs for the one thing that he thinks maybe will help him to grab the peacock without getting hurt. And of course, it's these glorious tail feathers. Well, this startles the peacock, who was not expecting this at all, and he immediately tries to fly off in the other direction, leaving the farmer with a handful of 3-foot long tail feathers and the peacock with an uncovered backside. Once rescued, the peacock returns back to the farm, just a miserable animal. He no longer is the center of attention of his farm, and the school children, who once lavished such great attention on him and offered them their food, no longer offer him that food anymore. And because he never learned how to scrounge around for his own meal, he's forced to go to bed each night hungry. He lives out the rest of his years in misery, quite frankly. A mere shadow of his former self. The moral of this story, as directly quoted by my college friend Adil Kobani back in 1997, is this: if you're stupid, bad things will happen to you, no matter how good looking you are.